morning. Good morning to everyone again. Thanks for the opportunity for BB&T to partner with the HR Group and the Diversity Forum to sponsor this event. We're pleased to be here today. Shameless plug, we do have a table. So at the end of the meeting today, if you want to stop by and learn more about our products, our services, or even career opportunities with us, we welcome you to stop by and talk with some of our associates there. But as Jorge mentioned, I've been asked to share the corporate perspective on how companies are responding to the changing demographics of our nation. Diversity is happening. New folks are coming into our markets, our nation on a daily basis, and companies have to be prepared to respond to this change. I'm happy to say that I work for a company that's always responded well to change. Over 140 years we've been in business, and we've responded to the changing times, the changing economic conditions, and we've not only survived through the change, but we have thrived as an organization. At BB&T, we have a proud history that's rooted in a commitment to diversity. And quite frankly, when I think of diversity, the reality is diversity is any difference. It's just not about race and ethnicity. It's about what I bring to the table as an individual, what my unique qualities and attributes are, and how they contribute to the big picture of things. Whenever you have more than one person in the room, you have got diversity. At BB&T, we recognize that. We also recognize that our employees are the key to our success. They are the foundation of our competitive advantage. Without the people at BB&T who do the jobs every day, we wouldn't have a business. So we recognize that. Our success is directly linked to their ability to maximize their own individual potential. We empower them to make decisions, to determine ways to best meet the needs of the client that they are dealing with in that moment and at that time. And those needs change with each client, and that's important. In order for us to be successful in servicing our clients, we have to be willing and able to draw upon the variety of backgrounds, the variety of skills, the experiences that our diverse associates bring to the table. As I mentioned, our economy is changing, our world is changing. The workforce is becoming more diverse, increasingly more diverse, and BB&T is responding well to that. Women now control over half of the country's wealth and influence many of the financial decisions that are being made in households today, and that's critical for BB&T as a financial services company to recognize and respond to that. And as you all know, the economic potential of minorities, consumers in this country, and specifically in the Southeast, which is BB&T's footprint, is moving up into the billions. So these are all important factors that BB&T has taken into consideration as we've thought about how do we respond to the changing demographics of this nation. At BB&T, diversity and inclusion starts at the top of our organization. Our CEO and chairman, our executive management team, even our corporate board, all recognize the value that diverse perspectives bring from an employee standpoint, but also the diverse business opportunities from a client standpoint. Our CEO has authored a statement that you can find on our website that speaks directly to why BB&T has chosen to focus on diversity and inclusion. It is the right thing to do, but for us it also makes very good business sense. The face of our clients are changing. Long gone are the days where there's a one-size-fits-all model to doing business with the consumer. We have to be willing and ready to respond to the unique needs of our clients, and BB&T is primed to do that. From an associate standpoint, from an employee standpoint, we have a very robust diversity recruiting strategy at BB&T. We have found that partnering with organizations, whether it's the local community colleges or universities, the centers of influence in particular communities such as the chambers, even churches, partnering with those organizations has opened the door for BB&T to tap into the more diverse talent pools that exist in our communities. So our recruiters at BB&T are very attuned to the needs to hire more diversity, to find those diverse perspectives, those diverse experiences that we can bring to the table to be able to innovate new and more effective solutions for our clients. We also have a department that's primary focus is to make sure BB&T is connecting to diverse communities. Our multicultural markets department does just that. Their focus is to build the brand awareness for the BB&T brand as a provider of choice for financial services for those diverse communities. We've got strategies aimed at not only the Hispanic and Latino community, but also the African American community, which represents still probably, not for much longer, but the nation's largest minority group that is shifting. But we also have strategies for the Asian community, we have strategies for women, and our multicultural markets departments help drive these strategies. It's interesting, and I'll tell you this fact about BB&T. We currently have over 340 branches that we have designated as multicultural branches. And what that essentially means for us is that we know that the community surrounding that branch is diverse. It's different. They have unique needs. And some of them have a unifying element, such as a language that they all speak. So for these branches, we have modified our structure to be more conducive to those communities. So for example, in some of our multicultural branches where we reach out to the Hispanic and Latino communities, we have extended hours. I know there are a couple branches that are actually open on Sunday because this community only has the time to do their banking on the weekends. We've modified the structure of the branches to be more conducive to family-style banking, because a lot of times some of these individuals, when they come to the branches, they're bringing their entire family. So that's one way we're responding to the changing needs of the consumers that we now want to do business with at BB&T. In addition, at these over 340 multicultural banking centers, we've made it a point to ensure that the individuals who are working in those branches, the BB&T associates that are there in those branches, reflected the community that they're trying to serve. Where we can, where there is a language component that unifies that community, we hire individuals in those branches who speak the market dominant language, so that where a client who wants to communicate in that language, they can find someone in the branch who speaks that language, and they may feel more comfortable communicating in their primary language. So we work very hard to ensure that those branches are staffed appropriately. As of yesterday, of those 347 branches, over 90% of them had someone in the branch who spoke the market dominant language of the client group that we look to do business with in that community. This department has also, again, in an effort to meet the changing needs of this client group, helped establish what we call our Easy Send card, which allows some of our foreign-born new immigrants to this country, new migrants to this country, to be able to send money back home. We know a lot of our new faces, the changing demographics of this country. A lot of our new clients have responsibilities back in their native country, and they send money home to their family members. So we've developed what we call our Easy Send card, which allows that client to put money on a debit card, which they'll send to their family member in another country. They'll put money on that card, and that family member can withdraw that money in their country in the currency, the native currency that they need. So that's another way that as an organization we have responded to the changing demographics of the clients that we at BB&T hope to do business with. We also have internal programs because, again, we want our workforce to reflect the communities that we serve. So from an internal perspective, we move from the diversity piece. We've hired all of these diverse individuals to making sure that there's a feeling of inclusion. And simply, we want all of our associates, regardless of their background, their experience, their race, their ethnicity, or any of those diversity factors, to feel like they belong at BB&T, that they're valued for their individual contributions, they're valued for who they are, they're respected, and that they're able to contribute at their maximum potential. So for that reason, we have made sure that internally we have programs and practices in place. Every individual associate is empowered and asked to be hold themselves personally accountable for making sure that they're treating their neighbor, they're treating their fellow associates with that high level of respect, and that they're working to do their part to build a cohesive team, because we know that together we can do much more than we can individually. So building those strong teams, regardless of our differences, is critical and important to BB&T. From a community standpoint, as an organization, BB&T definitely believes in giving back to our communities, the communities that we operate in and that we serve, all the communities, as diverse as they may be. Over the last couple of years, we've engaged in what we call our Lighthouse Project, which has allowed us to connect with the communities to do service projects for communities in need throughout our footprint. And over these last several years, we have completed 4,400 community service projects as an organization, with over 200,000 volunteer hours, and we've been able to impact 6.7 million people throughout the BB&T footprint. And I'm sure a lot of those individuals have come from diverse backgrounds and have diverse perspectives. We also believe that in order to build stronger communities so that BB&T can continue to be the pillar that we have been in the communities that we operate, we also have to give those businesses within those communities, those small businesses, the opportunity to do business with BB&T. So we have a very strong and robust supplier diversity program. We know that our communities are only as strong as the people within them, and when folks in those communities are working because they're able to provide their services, if they have small businesses, to other corporations, then we're going to be better off for the long haul. So we do believe in giving suppliers, diverse suppliers, the opportunity to compete for business with BB&T, and we do that through a very organized supplier diversity program. So overall, BB&T is very much so aware of the changing demographics in the face of our country, and we've primed ourselves to respond to that change. We do know that our associates are our first line of defense, if you will, to doing business with our diverse communities and our diverse clients. And for that reason, we've made every effort to ensure that our workforce is diverse, that all of the associates who come to work for us, regardless of their background and their experiences, feel like they belong, that they're part of the BB&T team, and that they can contribute to their highest potential, or contribute the fullest and reach their highest potential. BB&T is doing this because it is the right thing to do, but it's also the right thing for our business. So I'll stop here and see if there are any questions about diversity and inclusion at BB&T.
Any questions? Yes.
I see several hands.
Thanks first. Ivan, back there.
I saw Jerry raise his hand. Mine's not as much as a question as okay. I'm Cindy Thompson, and I'm Executive Director of a nonprofit called Boundless Impact. But I don't have as much a question as I do just want to share a personal story, because BB&T doesn't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And for 8 years, I had the pleasure of serving as Chief Financial Officer at VIF International Education in Chapel Hill. And you may know of that organization because they've been a partner of BB&T's for about 25 years. And the organization brought in teachers from over 60 different countries on the J1 visa exchange, and started working with BB&T to allow the teachers, when they came in, to have special benefits. And when I joined the organization 8 years ago, I was astounded at the package of benefits that BB&T offered these international exchange teachers. And while I was there for the 8 years, I had so much fun having other banks come to take me out to lunch to see if they could get their business. And when I would tell them that when our teachers would hit, the U.S., and many of them came to the U.S. for the very first time as one of our teachers, they would have a bank account already set up. They would have an ATM card that was delivered to them. They would have a $2,000 relocation loan that was on a Visa card so that they could get supplies and housing and things. They would have a pre-approved auto loan that was set up through a dealership. And so I just really want to call out, the long-standing relationship that BB&T has had in the services and the flexibility, because no other bank would even begin to touch the things that we were able to do. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that story.
I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you if an undocumented worker showed up to open a bank account with an expired driver's license and an ITIN and proof of residence in North Carolina. Let's just sort of forget that. But just generally, would a person who's undocumented, would they be spending their time wisely to talk to you all about opening a bank account?
That's a great question. And actually, I have a couple other people who are more equipped to answer that question. But I think the short answer is no, they wouldn't be wasting their time with us. And Ivan, if you could give the microphone to Teresa, she'll actually answer the question as
I'm
to.
actually going to pass it to Jeannie.
Jeannie's going to answer what their recourse is.
Day in and day out, so yeah.
I'm Jeannie Connolly, and I'm at the Westchester location in High Point. And as we mentioned, we are involved in the community every day, and if you have anybody with those needs, we love to put them in contact with people just like you. Our job is to educate our community, so when they come into the branch, we really talk to them. We have matricular information from Mexico. We have information from El Salvador, from all the different countries, and we can refer them to the nonprofits in the area. So we're very in tune with the community, and Teresa and our market presidents in the areas are always very involved in the community. So we love to meet people like you, because our job is to get them in contact, because eventually we want them with us, but our job is to educate them and bring them in to the community and streamline them so they can be here legally.
Hi, my name is Kathy Vogel. I'm with the HR group. I just recently graduated from Impact Greensboro. I don't know if you're familiar with the program, but it's about creating change agents in Greensboro. And I see one of my fellow alumni. Hi, Kevin. One of the things that I learned a lot about was about immigration and refugees and their experience in coming to the U.S. And one of the stories that kept coming out in my group was, you know, like for instance, I'll tell you one particular story. Was a woman from the Congo. When she was in the Congo, she typically associated with white people. And when she came to the U.S., when she was in the workplace and in the break room, she would go to where the white people were hanging out, and they were looking at her like, "Why you're coming to our table?" And then so she would go over to where the African Americans are hanging out, and they were kind of looking at her like, "You talk funny. Why are you coming over here?" And she sort of didn't feel like she really fit in anywhere. How can you speak more specifically to how do you just said you guys have some programs and so forth. How do you eliminate that? That's a very subtle kind of discrimination or bias that could very easily slip under the radar. How do you guys prevent that kind of thing?
A couple things that we do at BB&T is one, the recognition piece. We do offer education and training to all of our associates. Every one of our associates are required to complete what we call an understanding and valuing diversity course upon entering the organization, which helps them to do a bit of a self-assessment to realize that we all do have some natural biases. They're not right or wrong, they are, but that we need to recognize them, and where they prohibit positive interchanges in the work environment or positive interactions with our clients, we need to take some corrective measures within ourselves to fix those. So we do educate our associates on those things, unconscious biases, stereotyping, so they can recognize that those behaviors exist and determine ways that within themselves they can overcome that if they become prohibitive to their successful work. We also allow our associates, after they've taken that course, to continue their education through other courses that aren't required, but that again allow people to do some self-discovery, some self-reflection, and self-assessment. In addition, we do know that within our organization, people do naturally tend to form together as groups for whatever reason, whatever unifying bond there is between me and the next person, we're going to form a group and others may join. We do promote some of that within our organization. We do have what we call our business resource groups, which are groups that are organized around certain affinities such as race, gender, ethnicity. But the focus of those groups is to find ways to maximize how the company responds to those groups from a client perspective and even from an employee perspective. So for example, we have an affinity group for Hispanics and Latinos. We've asked those groups to help us assess our products and services to make sure that they are meeting the needs of the Hispanic and Latino community. We've also asked them to help us take an introspective look at our work environment to ensure that it is inclusive for Hispanic and Latinos that come to work at BB&T. And they're developing programs where they see gaps to ensure that everyone feels like they're included. So not just the Hispanic or Latino who's come in, but maybe the Caucasian man who's never worked with a Hispanic or Latino before. How do they interact with that person? How do they engage that person? How do they work with them to have a strong team? So we've got some things in place. It's not a perfect science. Again, those biases do exist within all of us. Some of us have already become much better and adept at recognizing them, and we've developed our strategies to overcome. Some haven't, but we do utilize training, we utilize our affinity groups. We promote an environment of inclusion as an organization. Those things are helping us to overcome some of that where they still exist within our associates.
Thank you. Thank you, Idris.
Thank you.